Meeting of May 28, 2013 to order. We'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you get one of these?
What is it? Oh, is this mine?
Oh, that's mine.
Oh,
Watch, she tries taking everybody's stuff.
whereas,
So that's something you don't necessarily look at right
Okay, roll call shows all are present, including department heads. And let's take a look at our approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
now. No, sir. I move the agenda.
I'll support it.
For discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now that review the minutes of May 13.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Joe.
if I may, on number 6 of the minutes, page 5, where it says, Councilman Rizzi stated he voted no on forming this commission because he doesn't feel this is something the taxpayers would like to pay for. I would like that corrected to say, to remove would like to and replace those 3 words with should pay for, because I cannot know the intentions of all of the taxpayers.
Anybody else?
I'll move them as amended.
Support.
Further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment. This time you wish to speak out about any item not listed on our agenda, you may do so. Please state your name and address.
Doreen Hannon, 9800 Pontiac Trail, Salem, South Lyon District Library. And I'm the library director, and I just wanted to let you know that we're having our 2nd annual Bicycle Dream Cruise on Saturday, June 15th, and it's going to start at Volunteer Park at 10 a.m. and end at the library. And then once everybody's back at the library, we'll have bicycle decorating and a bicycle rodeo and sidewalk chalk and snacks by our Junior Friends Club. And then the second thing is we have our summer reading program, which starts Monday right after the Bicycle Dream Cruise, and that starts up on Monday, June 17th. And that'll be the first time for registration, and it goes all summer long, and it's for adults, teens, and kids, and it's lots of fun, and it keeps everybody reading over the summer.
Great.
So I just wanted to remind everyone and invite you to come.
Thank you, Ms. Hand.
Thanks, Doreen.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi, George Foreman, 869 Huntington. Just wanted to say, came back to talk about volunteer parks for a minute. Based on the meeting that we had last time, there was some arrangements made where I was able to meet with the city manager. The city manager was able to give me a map that the farmer has drawn up that displays the trails that the farmer would be able to maintain in Volunteer Park. So it's a very nice map, and we'd like to discuss this with the Parks and Rec Committee to see what they can do to validate it and include it in any sort of plans for Volunteer Park. It's nice because it shows both pretty much the existing trails plus some new trails that the farmer would be able to make with both the north entrance and the east entrance to the park, nature trails which connect to the asphalt bike trail. I've also had some phone conversations with Mike Orlando, the Parks and Rec Committee Chair. He was very gracious and invited the Friends of Volunteer Park Nature Trails to attend the June 12th Parks and Rec meeting. I sent Mike an email saying thank you and sort of just asked what the format of the meeting would be, and he said that I would be placed on the agenda, that it wouldn't just be a public comments kind of thing, so there'd be some discussion back and forth. And so there just were two things that I had put onto the list for Michael Lando. I just was saying we would like to see if the trails could be mowed by the DPW at any time soon. They're getting a little bit tall, and so the walkable parts of the trails that are there, that would be nice if they could be mowed. And then Michael Lando was also receptive to us being able to put up a 8.5 by 11 trail marker sign at the north entrance and the east entrance of the trails, so that we could display what the current and new pathway would be. So we look forward to meeting with the Parks and Rec Committee on June 12th. Thank you very much.
Thanks, George.
Seems like a constructive conclusion to that whole discussion, so that's great.
Anybody else? Okay, we can move on to old business, which we have none. New business, the Memorial Day Parade. We have to approve, just for,
I'm not so sure we should have it.
No, you tell me?
yeah,
Unfortunately, the application came in the day after council's last meeting, and obviously prior to tonight's meeting. And we were able to make arrangements with Oakland County, or Road Commission for Oakland County, to go ahead and conduct the parade, as long as we sent them something in writing and then went back and retroactively did the approval.
right.
And hopefully next year the application will be a little more timely, but I think there's some extenuating circumstances this time. So I would ask council to retroactively approve what we already okayed.
Yeah,
Harvey.
And attended, yeah. Harvey, go.
Have it, Harp.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, that we approve the road closures and the resolution for the Memorial Day Parade.
Hustler.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, our agreement with the county, Oakland County, for assessing services. Dave?
Well, I'm sorry. That's
Are you assessing something there?
You didn't feel the
actually,
spotlight?
it's the clerk treasurer.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I thought she was going to take it. I apologize.
They haven't changed their prices. Everything's gonna be the same. $13.90 per real parcel, $11.40 personal property, and then $6 per parcel for Colonial Acres. And it does save us a lot of money to use them for their services instead of hiring an assessor just for the city of South Lyon.
Does this include any of the programs that you guys have on your computers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the contract with Oakland County for the Equalization Division Assistance Services.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We used to have a assessor, but it became more affordable to go this route.
Most of the communities in Oakland County now use the equalization department, and they never seem to have a factor put against them, so their accuracy is very good.
Well, they're very good at it. I made a mistake of going to them with a condo and it inherited. Turned out, oh, you're not homesteaded. That cost you $700 more. So I learned, don't go to border review unless you really know what you're doing. But then they did agree with what I said all along, and they dropped them tremendously in Southridge condos. And then those people thanked me, so I got one corner of town happy at my expense. Okay, now we can move on to Fire Chief.
All right, Mr. Mayor and Council, come to you tonight mainly with a proposal. This is kind of a proof of concept, if you will. There's not really a deliverable that I have before you, and I apologize for kind of the lack of agenda note because I really don't have a whole lot to give you. This is kind of a chicken and egg scenario that before we spent my time, staff time, including time of staff and council over at Lyon Township, we wanted to come with proof of concept to see if this is something that would be agreeable. This has already gone before Lyon Township, and they have voted in favor to pursue it. The Chief of Lyon Township, Ron McLean, and myself are in continual discussions about how we can work together collaboratively. Recent proof of that was the dual response district that Lyon Township did approve for the kind of the south part of the city, and that is in effect. In fact, that actually went live today. One of the issues that we talk about is Ron, because of his living situation, and me because of my work situation, we tend to be ships in the night, that he's available weekdays when I've got my full-time job, and I'm available weeknights when he is out of the district. So one of the areas that we have is having a chief officer be able to respond for operations. And the proposal that we're kind of bringing before you is for Ron to be able to assist with kind of daytime fire operations in South Lyon, and for me to be able to assist with fire operations in Lyon Township. This kind of goes a step beyond a standard mutual aid agreement. If somebody has a fire in the city and they call 911 and says their house is on fire, automatically we're getting assistance from Green Oak, and automatically we're getting assistance from Lyon Township. What this does is this would be more all-encompassing. Part of the issue with this is we're kind of getting into some foreign territory. There's not a whole lot of arrangements like this that both Ron and I did a fair amount of investigating within Southeast Michigan and even the state. And there's not a whole lot of ones that are doing this. So sometimes the best ideas can kind of be those that are a little bit foreign, and we wanted to put this before both of our elected bodies to see if this was a palatable arrangement. If this sounds good to council and we have your approval to go forward, this isn't approving this arrangement. All this would be doing tonight is saying, yes, go forward, try to come up with some sort of contract. Haven't even put this before Tim yet. Again, I didn't want to spend his time if this wasn't something that you guys would be willing to do. Any agreement would come back to both the township and the city for approval. The one positive with this is really kind of a no-cost experiment, if you will. There wouldn't be any, we're not purchasing equipment, we're not hiring additional personnel. How we kind of work some of the nuances, if the township pays me $1 and the city pays him $1 to make some legal contract work, then we're all for that. But I'm not looking at getting additional revenue from Lyon Township. He's not looking at getting additional compensation from the city. So we would be looking at doing this for a trial period and see if it works. And if it works, great. We can look at something on a more permanent basis. If not, we tried, and we feel it was a good faith effort to try to do regional services. So.
Okay, if I could throw a few comments
Absolutely.
and research on this. I guess I have to ask, is our assistant chief available during the day?
He is. He's actually here tonight. Chief Hammond actually works as a nurse down at St. Joe, so his schedule is kind of all over the map too. The issue that we deal with is because of an on-call fire department, having kind of redundant staff is always a positive. Having multiple chief officers on a scene is also a positive. So if you have one kind of overall scene operations, you can have another doing interior oversight. So it's there's never a thing of having enough command officers on the scene, having somebody be able to go in the backyard to get a view of the back of the house. So even on regular fires where we've got both Green Oak and Lyon Township coming in, if I'm able to get a second chief officer there, that's a big win. So this just provides some additional ability. That this in no way would diminish Assistant Chief Hammond's role in our organization.
Okay. I talked to a trustee tonight, and he informs me they've heard nothing. You said that Lyon Township approved this. Their board has not come by them. He knows nothing about this.
Came by them 2 weeks ago. They went into closed session to discuss it.
And if that person was absent that night, I don't know. But that's what.
I know it was on their agenda, and Lanny told me the next day that they had discussed it. I know Patty Carcone was not there, but she was aligning herself with Lanny's position.
I like the concept, but again, I'm hearing both sides here, and it's a little confusion. And I thought our philosophy on this was going to be anything to do with the fire department. We wanted to have the police studied as well.
I like that idea. You know, I've been asking them for almost 5 years now to do that. They've never...
It's never been presented to them. That I found out too.
Well, absolutely it has.
Not at a conference setting. No, to Lanny, yes.
To Lanny, but I sent a letter not only to Lanny, but to the board. This was several years ago now. So I don't know who you spoke with, but perhaps they weren't on the board then, I don't know. But I specifically...
I know you talked to them in more recent times.
Because, oh yeah, I've talked to them several times. In fact, I talked to him about this. And he came back and said...
He was informed that it was brought up to him alone. It wasn't at the table.
We've had 2 joint sessions where we've formally proposed. It was a sort of a comprehensive thing. What can we do for shared services? 2 specific times. This was an issue that we had. One with Butler being the guy that oversaw
Mediator.
the mediator, whatever, and one other time where we formally had this discussion, and it's always been just kind of pushed off into the corner. I mean, I'm kind of a like feeling with you, Ted. I mean, we've pursued this a number of times. This seems like, when Dave first proposed this, I thought, well, I think we are getting something in it, if for nothing else, to have a chief officer assured to be on a site when you're not available. At the same time, it seems like this is the carrot and the stick kind of a scenario. I would like to see us pursue this with the intention of, within the next 2 months, coming up with an agreement that we can pursue grants to conduct a non-biased study to find out whether or not it makes sense, both cost-wise and service provision-wise, to pursue both fire and police at the same time. I'm wondering if MIRMA might end up helping us to submit for a grant, and if not, maybe they'll end up coming up with some reward money for reducing our risk overall. But I'd like to see that take place within the next 2 months. If there's signs of agreement there, allow the agreement to be engaged. If within 6 months we haven't filed for grants, the thing just kind of dissolves. If not, then it goes through the progression of whatever time it takes to perform the grant and the study.
Well, this particular trustee's been there for several years, and he says he's not had the third-party thing presented at all.
And I believe what you say, Ted. I'm just
Harvey and Aaron
surprised
and I were
because
both
they've
Yeah,
come back
I
and
was
told
at
me
the
that-
meeting.
We were there.
So that really irritates me.
So you're talking 4 years ago,
At least.
at
Yeah,
least, yeah.
at least, yeah.
Well, I know, it goes back, we met.
We had a couple of meetings, actually. We had more than one.
Yeah, they were at the township.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a discussion piece since Smith was chief here, so.
Right.
You know.
I see, if I can go, Ted? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I see a little bit of whole, I believe in, shared services would benefit our fire department. It would definitely benefit that. I see some tiny holes with this, though, as far as I see it as a short-term solution to maybe something that could be better. I would like, if the chief, as in our chief, is comfortable with doing a trial, I will support that. But I want it to be just a trial. I would like to see it go into go towards a fire authority, actually go that direction, and look at it. I'm guessing with a fire authority type of thing, we'd have to have a third party in. And if we're gonna have a third party in to do a study on it, it would be
Behoove us.
it would behoove us, there's a word I don't like, but I'll use it because Ted used it. It's not to do the police at the same time. I mean, it just doesn't make sense not to do it. But this to me is a short-term thing that maybe we could try it and see if that's where we want to go. But I think if we're going to share services, there is a benefit to doing it with a fire authority because there's a benefit of the grants and everything else. And I would like to see it go that
I
direction.
agree, it's presented to us as a 6-month trial, and I like Gwen's idea of kind of put a little push on that. It sounds good to me on that part.
Now, I would like to ask Aaron, though, you had alluded to the idea that you see benefit from fire, and you made it sound as though you didn't recognize that there would be any benefit for police.
No, we've never done it. I think we 100%, it would be silly for us to look at fire and not look at police at the same time, especially since we're calling in a third party. It would be silly not to do it.
I certainly am no authority, but I always had the opposite idea that fire seemed like the least, except for the idea of being able to man the other side, but we have so many mutual agreements that I think that we're already protected under in light
the
of that.
mutual aid, but now a lot of them that are combining, if you look in the news and stuff, when people are combining, they're getting different grants and they're getting different opportunities
benefit to
because
that, no
the
question
government.
about
So
that.
I think that you know, I understand that there's mutual aid anyhow, but I do think that maybe combining and it might be a benefit, but that's something that, like I said, a third party could look at, and there's really no sense.
Well, and that is the benefit of the third party.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
really no sense in bringing
Just
that third
passionate
party
view.
in if we're just going to tell them to look at fire and we're not going to tell them to look at police. I mean, they should definitely look at both of them at the same time. There's no, I mean, what harm is there to see what the pros and cons are and have a discussion?
I've never really understood their reluctance to do that.
Yeah.
So,
You got a question, Mike?
I do. Chief, do you look at this as an opportunity to see how the commands work together as far as between Lyon Township and South Lyon? You done? And like, for instance, if you're working, you get called, it'd be an opportunity to see if our command structure will work with Lyon Township and vice versa?
Exactly. If they have any incident of significance in their township, we're going to be involved, and vice versa. And the more you work together, the more those, if you only get together on Super Bowl, you're not going to play real well. But if you practice together, and we do have joint trainings with them, and we've really, Chief McLean and I really marched forward in trying to do a lot of collaborative stuff. We're going to continue to do things like joint training and work like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense that they've got some different policies than us when the demographics and our communities are pretty, it's the same community for all intents and purposes.
So this is a chance for us to see if we can have, at some point in the future, it may not work, it may work, an integrated fire department involving both communities. I mean, it's an opportunity to see if at least we can.
This is putting your toe in the water, if you will, as opposed to starting to make big capital investments. There are some grants that are out there. I can't promise the eligibility that we would have for them, especially in a short time period. The current one that I'm aware of with the state of Michigan, I believe has already closed out, and that was for some seed money for studies, and it was also for if you want to combine upfront money. Wayne Westland got about, I think, just short of $1 million for that.
That's actually May 1st through June 28th, so
Oh,
we're in a
okay.
great time period
Okay.
for that.
And even if there's no urgency to this, and I certainly didn't mean to kick a beehive, it's just that this was an idea that Chief McLean and I came together. We wanted to bring before council and just show due diligence that, hey, we're working to try to continue to find
I think it's a great idea. I really do.
ways to improve service.
You know. I have a question.
Okay, Harvey.
I think you may have already touched on the question. I know you guys are on the same communication system, so that's not an issue. Are there any training issues with different command officers who would be supervising each other's department?
No, as of right now, if we get a fire together, we have shared accountability systems, shared communication systems. We work very well together on scenes. However, there's always room for improvement, especially the paid on call department. There's constant turnover of staff. So again, the more we can integrate, the better we're going to be on those larger type incidents.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll make the motion that at least we allow the chief to explore, that's a good word, explore a proposed shared services agreement with the chief for the Lyon Township Fire Department.
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
Well, I'm not going to be able to support that, only in that I think this is one of the few opportunities that we have to really try to push the issue to incorporate police as well, so.
But aren't we doing that? Like, aren't we doing the trial with, by voting on this, aren't we doing the trial with, as just something we're trying to go into something else? Isn't that the intent of this vote, this motion, Mike?
Well, no, the intent of the motion is just to allow the chief to sit down with the fire chief and say, look, can we do this? First of all, will it work?
And the boards.
And the boards. I mean,
Apparently.
I don't think there's any, caveats that we should tie this all in. At least when I made the motion, I didn't think we had to tie it into eventually going down the road, forcing him to do a police study.
We're not forcing anybody.
Well-
We're suggesting it.
We've been suggesting it. It's not, depending on who's heard it, we're not getting anywhere with it. So the issue is do we use this as a starting point to say, look, it works with the fire department? If we can work out an agreement, why can't we expand it into something else? I mean, this is just an opportunity.
Do you want this agreement just to be a 6-month agreement, like a trial month agreement, or do you want this to be a more permanent
Well-
agreement?
According to what we have in this agenda item, it's going to be a 6-month trial period to see if it works.
So that's what your motion is.
Yeah.
Doesn't say that in the motion, but
I just want to be clear what the motion is.
All the motion is to allow them to sit down and see, can we do this? And create an agreement, and then the agreement's going to be brought to us.
For a 6-month trial.
It could be in the agreement. We can modify the agreement. There is no agreement in front of us right now. The only issue is he wants permission to sit down with the fire chief with Lyon Township to do it.
I just want to know what your intent is, that's all.
That's my intent. I mean, if it comes back and they want permanent, well, that's something we can, discuss when the contract's before us. Right now, this is just an opportunity for him to sit down and do it.
Well, it does say that it starts as a 6-month.
under the explanation of topic, but it's not in the motion.
It's open-ended, right?
Yes.
I don't see any harm in saying in the motion adding to 6 months, but obviously if Mike's making the motion, that's up to him.
To amend
Me
it, yeah.
personally, I would like to see an amendment where it does have that language.
All right, maybe I'm confused on the purpose of this motion. We are not limiting the terms of the agreement that we haven't seen yet. This is just a motion to say, Chief, do your best and come back in front of us and see if we want to put any limitations in the proposal at that time. This is simply a motion saying,
Approval
Go
to
ahead.
study.
yeah, that's all it is.
In my opinion, though, we are giving a direction, and I think if we're going to set the direction early, we should make that a little more specific.
Fine,
But
then
that's
I'll
just-
withdraw my motion and you can make the motion.
Okay.
Does somebody have to second that? Or we didn't vote on it. so-
I'll withdraw my second.
Yeah, if you want to write up something right now, you can. And throw it in your lap. Or you can just say nothing.
Yeah, but I don't want to make the motion.
Fine, then I'll remake my motion that we approve, that we allow the chief for the city of South Lyon to sit down with the chief for Lyon Township and see that if they can work on a proposal that they could bring to us regarding this issue.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Public hearing, we should open for the public hearing on the budget for 2013, 2014. So we vote to go to that?
No, you open.
I open this public hearing for the budget.
Speak if you want to.
Public comment can take place right now. Just state your name and address, please.
Bradley Bloom, I live at 10644 Aqua Lane. I'm the Vice Chair of the Cultural Arts Commission. And thank you, Mayor Wallace and council members, for letting me stand here and speak my support for our commission and the support for our budget. The CAC charge from the City Council as stated in the Code of the City of South Lyon, Section 2-213, Item 6, and Section 2-214 directly relates to what we are proposing for our very first project. But first, allow me to make a couple of statements that refer to supporting the arts within this vital community that we call South Lyon. So why the arts? Well, here are 5 short reasons why we should support the arts and apply them to this community. First of all, it's true prosperity. The arts are fundamental to our humanity. They ennoble and inspire us. They foster creativity. They foster goodness and beauty. The arts help us to express our values, build bridges between cultures, and bring us together regardless of ethnicity, religion, or age. Here is a student-related reason for which we are very, very interested in supporting student participation in the arts in South Lyon. There is improved academic performance. Students with an education rich in the arts have higher GPAs and standardized test scores, lower dropout rates, and even better attitudes about community service. Benefits reaped by students regardless of socioeconomic status. Students with 4 years of arts or music in high school average 100 points better on their SAT scores than students with 1/2 year or less. Arts as an industry. This speaks to Governor Snyder's sort of mantra of jobs, jobs, jobs. Arts organizations are responsible businesses. They are responsible employers and responsible consumers. Nationally, nonprofit arts organizations generate $135 billion in economic activity annually, supporting 4.1 million jobs and generating $22.3 billion in government revenue. We'd like to add to that by supporting and making revenue for ourselves and in this community. Investment in the arts supports jobs, generates tax revenues, promotes tourism, and advances our creativity and our economy. Arts are good for local merchants. The typical arts attendee spends about $24.60 per person. I don't know exactly where they got that figure, but this is from from national surveys. They spend this per event, and that, of course, does not include the cost of admission. On items they spend on are parking, meals, babysitters, yada, yada, yada. And attendees who live outside the county in which arts events take place spend twice as much. Finally, stronger communities. The arts build stronger communities. There is a study from the University of Pennsylvania researchers, and they have demonstrated that a high concentration of the arts in a city leads to higher civic engagement, more social cohesion, higher child welfare, and lower poverty rates. A vibrant arts community ensures that young people are not left to be raised solely in a pop culture or solely in a tabloid marketplace. The Cultural Arts Committee budget of $6,500 that I know that you've had some discussion on is seed money to start us on our way to realizing these and other goals. If you take into account that the total number of tax bills issued by the city amounts to 4,391, then the total amount per month to each taxpayer is 13 cents. So please consider this as you trim the fat from the city budget. This request, I believe, is a fairly skinny amount. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Glad to
Thank you for your
answer
input.
any questions.
Good evening, Carl Richards. Just want to make a small statement.
Address, please.
Yes, 390 Lennox, thank you very much. Small statement and a couple of questions. All right, personally, I've reviewed the budget, I don't disagree with it. There's nothing really to be afraid of. We're only knocking off about 600,000 from last year's budget, okay? I think that most important thing for us to focus on and remember as we go into the new budget is a philosophical difference and a different tactical approach to some of our same problems as they arise, okay? It really doesn't matter how much money we got within certain guidelines, certain limits. What matters is how we micromanage the issues and milk the savings that we can out of the various issues as they come along. And I'm not going to go into specific line items that I might agree or disagree with. I'm giving you theory, okay? Where do we stand comparatively, okay, with the projections from 2 years ago of Platt and Moran? Are we basically in line with their proposed reductions in our budget for the future predictions that they gave us? I don't really know. I just know that they told us we're going to have to reduce it somewhere, you know, and I hope we're doing the right thing. I'm sure we can make ends meet, and I can address other issues on that later. Bear in mind, our population, okay, our house occupancy rate is still in the neighborhood of 15 to 20%, probably more like 18% vacancies, okay? Down from 23% to 3 years ago, which is a good thing. There's more money being put into more houses being repaired, and it looks brighter ahead for our economy. But bear in mind, right out here on Liberty Street, okay, we've got 7, between the Lafayette Street and the end, we've got 7 vacancies. And that's not counting Leon Bonner's 2 houses that are empty. And the same thing happens quite a bit all over town. About 35% senior citizens is something also to consider. Okay. Questions, 2 questions. Okay, in our new budget, we've earmarked $7,000 for the Parks and Recs Commission. I think that's a good thing for the new parking lot repair that will be forthcoming. That's one of our 3 big projects. I think that's a very smart idea. Okay, the other 2 projects that I'm very proud and happy to say that we've moved forward on, and with Dave's expert, you know, care and taking care of it, is the Wells Street parking lot improvement and the easement behind the post office. Been long overdue, 10, 20 years overdue, and I hope that can go well. I just didn't see it earmarked in the budget any particular place, but I'm sure we can do it. Also, another question for you. Do we have enough of a contingency fund for a cushion in this budget in case of a unforeseen circumstances that cause us a great deal of trouble? Okay, I don't know just what, I'm just speculating on that. As long as we know the dollars and cents of where we've got for a cushion, and we can wring out some savings as we go along. That's just what I'm presenting to you, and if you have any other questions of me, I can answer or I'd try to address it at this time. If not, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, I will close the public hearing on the budget, and now we proceed to discuss the adoption of the budget for approval.
Well, I would like to speak about the cultural arts thing myself. Some of the things that we have afforded money to that are not specific public safety or administrative governmental services. People's Express The historic, well, People's Express is $67,000 this year. The Historic Village, $29,000. Some of the community promotions, which are essentially, uplifting or people things, concerts in the park for $6,000. Youth assistance, $13,000. Haven, $2,500. Meals on Wheels, $5,000. South Lyon Rec, $30,000, and Center for Active Adults, $46,900. Essentially, this $6,500 becomes 5.8% of what the community promotions budget is. I mean, that's a blip. So, I mean, it's tantamount to what we spend annually on the concerts in the park. This is a one-time offering to create a gallery in the lobby down here. There's some ancillary things for office supplies, but with the fact that we spend, and I'm an advocate for all of these programs. I think that they're all very, very earnest and honest things for us to be spending money on, taxpayer money on. I also think that the idea to enrich the people that live in our community by arts and promoting arts within our community, local artists, drawing in artists from the area to enrich our lives is a worthwhile endeavor. This is a one-time expenditure. That's not to say they will never show up at another budget meeting, but this is a one-time shot to get the ball rolling, to allow them the ability to help promote and self-fund themselves, to give them some exposure to the community to be able to pull that off. Without that, this will linger on for an undetermined amount of time, where interest from the experts that we have been paneled on this commission, their interest will wane if they can't end up doing anything but show up at meetings. I think that this is a worthwhile endeavor, and I hope that everybody will end up supporting that.
I just want to make a comment to what you said, that out of the list that you have, the youth assistance, Haven, Meals on Wheels, all those, People Express, those are helping people in need in our community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only one that's not really is Concerts in the Park. I mean, that is more of an art factor type thing, but a lot of these things they're actually helping people in need in our community. So they're really not just for community promotion. I don't see that.
Well, I mean, and they're dwarfed by the other things that do.
Yeah. I agree. I
that
just
do
think
hold
that
a place
I
as
just think that
community
like
promotion.
art's not going to help somebody in need in our community.
It certainly will enrich their lives. You know, you spoke last
will.
meeting to the idea that, and I understand the intent, but you had made a comment that you didn't want to encumber people that are already in need with another bill. This is something that as a community will enrich all those kids that need passively. I mean, they'll end up having a passive opportunity to be enriched. And I mean, as Mr. Bloom had suggested, that $4,000 or something is the equivalent of 13 cents per household or per resident or whatever. I mean, I think
I'm
13 cents for.
I'm very much for the
kid
arts.
is
I mean,
helpful.
I'm very much for the arts, but I would have liked to have seen perhaps a fundraiser to start your seed money. I think there's a lot of people in the community who would have participated in a fundraiser, and that wasn't even. I'm not going to say that you guys didn't think about it, but you came directly to us for money instead of thinking of another way to get the money.
If I could, I think what bothers some of the council was when we started with this idea, well, 2 years ago it's been now, we really were looking at starting downtown. Because as far as benefiting people, I would say that we're going to have 20 to 30 or 40,000 people going through downtown versus what comes into our lobby out front here. And so we were talking about murals and so forth inside the building. We had permission. It really would be of interesting to the township people and so forth that travel through. And then when we started with this, that was what we wanted, to do something downtown. So I think it kind of caught us by surprise with what you're going to do, the little presentation here. And I think you might have a little bit of disappointment because, you know, people that do pay their water bills in person, that's every 3 months. So you'd have to time it with water bill the last week or two, I would think, somewhere in there. Bob has put on displays. He's got things for free sitting there, and they go wanting. There's not enough people going through to even grab a free water bottle or pad of paper or so forth. And Bob's been doing this for a few years in promoting the great water department that we have. And so I think that's what bothered the council too, that all of a sudden we were having this out front here. And I know Doreen recently, they've had, and she has several of them there. They do those kind of shows in the side room there in the library. You have gallery shows and so forth. I felt sorry for the person begging people to come on in, come on in. You know, I felt bad that they weren't getting anybody in there, and it's where the traffic is. And I agree also. I know the concept, getting the kids involved and have them do stuff there, but they do that in their own school where they have all their own traffic. And I'm sure they could do it there and then have it moved to here. But again, the bottom line is I think we wanted to do downtown noticeably with something different first.
Yeah, we understand that concept, and it's a very good idea, and it's certainly in the future, but it is also more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more expensive, by maybe 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that's what started the whole thing. Okay, Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the budget, including the Arts Commission budget, and I agree with all of the comments that have been made here at the table today. But we did ask these folks to get together and using their expertise and their experience to bring us some proposals for a kickoff to the Arts Commission. What they are proposing that we purchase is actually hardware. It's going to be a city asset. If it doesn't work, we can sell it. But it is seed money. We were told that there would be a need for seed money when we first approved the Arts Commission, and these folks have done the work for us. So, in my opinion, we should support it, and I intend to support it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Joe.
I may have a few additional questions as these discussions unfold, but I did want to talk about 2 other points. And that was, because as we're talking about the budget now, I wanted to ask specifically about the fire car that was proposed. As it was presented for us, it was for the car that would be for running errands and going to training, et cetera. And I was curious, one of the requests was to have, I believe from Councilman Kramer, correct me if I'm wrong, but to have breakdown from, or an estimate based off pay and mileage. And then myself specifically, I requested other options such as a lightly used vehicle to see if there was any depreciation gone. So I was wondering if that could be explained further, please. Mr. Mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Apologize, a different copy, so this, I supplied this to the city manager after our last meeting.
And I need that back. That's my only copy.
You want to give us the summary?
Sure, yeah, we did the quick math, and it'd be about 11 grand a year. So this vehicle would pay for itself very quickly if we were to do a mileage reimbursement program. I checked with all big 3 about trying to get an executive, executive cars, and those go to a private auction house that's normally ate up by dealers. The only one I was able to even find out that they admit to the existence of a program is Ford. So I'm sure GM and Chrysler do it, but there wasn't any open source information that I could find of how that process works. From talking with people, I know I kind of got the impression that it was kind of, those cars normally went to dealers and then they could sell them as used vehicles. In trying to look at other state bid websites, again, most municipalities that are selling vehicles are doing so in the same position that we are, that they're in a pretty tough spot. The issue with potentially doing a used vehicle just gets into our purchase ability of going to a lot somewhere and needing approval from you guys while a car is still sitting there and having somebody keep it offline for us. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just, there becomes some logistical issues.
It might have been helpful if that was in our packet.
I apologize. I
Well, it's dated 11 days ago, so I assume must have been there. So, okay.
Well, it's not his fault.
No, I know
No, it's
that.
my fault.
Okay, he looked like he was taking
Okay,
responsibility.
well,
It's my fault.
so, yeah, again, ran the math on that. It's, again, we could go, we really kind of need to go in one direction or another, either the mileage or come up with some other sort of vehicle. Again, if we were to do that, we're looking at about a $11,000 annual cost versus a $22,000 upfront cost. And our goal would be at minimum for this vehicle to get 10 years out of it. So, again, be a cross-functional vehicle. Again, it is.
Mr. Mayor? Yes.
Yeah, and thank you, Chief Kennedy. That was my intention, was to just make sure that we are exploring all options, and it certainly sounds like you have, so thank you. So that has my support for your vehicle.
Thank you.
One thing I did want to mention is that Carl made a very good point when he was saying that we should be cautious of every dollar and to an extent micromanaging. It's not my intention to certainly micromanage the entire budget. We have a city manager for a reason, but it is something we need to consider, especially with the water rate increases that we just had. And also, right in this budget, it says here that our proposed millage rate will have to be increased from 2.5 mils to 3.6 mils. It says it would need to be increased. So this is something we see coming at us.
Well, and you've seen that for the last several years.
Exactly. I'm just
Mr.
pointing
Rizzi.
this out to people who may not
Absolutely.
know this.
But I
That's
don't want
regarding
you to
the
think
water department.
This is a
Exactly.
surprise, and also, I am the city manager, and I do watch over every dollar very, very carefully.
And I'm not
I think that's
questioning
been
your
proven
authority.
over the last 4 years.
And I'm not questioning, I'm just merely stating
And
that.
I'm just stating a fact as well, sir.
Okay? My point is that we do have a lot of increases coming to us and to the taxpayers, things that are unavoidable. So anytime that we can look at money and scrutinize, that is encouraged in my perspective. No meant for disrespect to the city manager. It was merely pointing out that every dollar is very important, and our citizens certainly do not want to see tax increases, and if at all possible, we want to avoid them. That's my only statement.
Mr. Mayor.
Mike?
Chief Kennedy, I need you back in the hot seat. Is it your intention with this vehicle to have, I mean, I can't imagine for every training session or whatever that all the available firefighters or EMTs that need to go to the training class or course are all going to be able to ride in this vehicle at the same time. So in addition to this vehicle being used, for instance, going to these courses, I'm assuming there's also going to be some mileage, personal mileage for personal automobile use in addition to the 11 grand. Or I'm sorry, in addition to the use of this vehicle if we purchase it.
We haven't had to go down that rabbit hole yet. Quite frankly, we haven't been challenged on it yet. We do have some folks that, I've got personnel taking an EMT class in Ann Arbor right now. Well, they go there right from work as opposed to come to South Lyon and then go. So for some people, it's the option's there, but they don't need it. And so we kind of dodge a bullet on that one, if you will. However, having this availability, in fact, I had a gentleman just go up to Standish, Michigan last week for a air pack repair class. And again, he was able to use another one of our vehicles, but again, we try to find something that gets better mileage and it's a little bit better suited for doing these sorts of things.
I guess, is it going to be the fire department's policy that they're going to be encouraged to use this vehicle as opposed to using their own personal vehicle, unless the situation arises where, like in your scenario, they work in Ann Arbor, the class is in Ann Arbor?
Exactly, because they have to normally transport gear with them. So yeah, that's our policy is that they're encouraged to use a department vehicle. It makes things a lot cleaner in case somebody were to be injured or those sorts of things. It cleans a lot of things up. Okay. So.
Thank you, Chief. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mike.
Ted?
Yes, Aaron?
I'm going to switch departments if we're done with that. I want to switch over to the DDA. The DDA is the Downtown Development authority, which I think that that's what they should be focusing on more, is actually the downtown development, not the community promotions. They have asked that in our budget, we pay for a portion of their bond on the Wells Street parking lot, which is something that they knew about, that they were going to have. They had, I mean, everybody knows that we took some downturn hit in taxes where, you know, a lot of their revenue comes from and everything. But here, I don't have a problem lending them the money, but I have a problem with them not, I have a problem with it being given to them and not lent to them for downtown development, because I'm looking at adopted 2012, 2013 for community promotions, $1,800, which seems reasonable. We amended it to $11,800 for, I mean, community promotions, which are fun. They do enrich the thing. I'm talking about ladies' night. I'm talking about car cruises. I'm talking about all those things that they want to sponsor, Pumpkin Fest. I mean, these people all have their own committees where they can raise their own money, and it's nice that they want to support it and offer the money, but you need to pay your bills first. I mean, I need to pay my mortgage and my bills before I can go out and play also. So although it's nice that they do that, you know, next year they've got proposed for $9,557, same for the next year, same for the next year. I have a problem with that. I don't mind if they need help paying part of that bond this year, but I don't want to pay it without it being loaned back. Not when they're spending what they're asking for us practically in community service, community promotion, which is ladies' night, car cruises, that kind of stuff, chamber events. Those places have their own fundraising. And this money is for downtown development. This is, you know, the development, like the new hooks that went up. It's very nice in the community. It looks very nice. It developed the downtown. You've got the area that the little pocket park they want to take care of. That's part of the downtown. Isn't that what we call that? By the barber shop?
Something like that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and we've got the area behind where we're gonna do the fix behind the movie theater, and they wanna put a little walkway there, you know, they don't need to be sponsoring things that have other forms of income. I know it's nice, I know it's support, but they need to pay their bills.
So you're suggesting, or you're saying from council's end, you don't want to see them promoting Pumpkin Fest or making donations to those things?
Not until they pay their bills.
And that's fine. I'll bring that back to them and let them know that.
Okay. So I would like this as a loan, not a give to them, not when they spent $11,800 on community promotions. Thanks.
I don't disagree with that concept. I think it shouldn't be a punitive loan, you know, where it's due next year or 2 years necessarily. But they're at the brink of starting to get back into the black. I mean, their property values have plummeted on the commercial end. They're, what was it, 0.097% or something like that below, you know, when it started falling. You know, so they're right at the brink of starting to recapture.
I'm fine with that. I didn't give a
No, I mean, so that they'll end up
frame,
generating some revenues from recaptured money again, so.
But they need to cut back too.
I have a question.
Well, you're right.
Are they using their millage capability at all, Dave?
Their millage capability?
Yeah, where they can assess up to 2 mills in a DDA region?
Well, it would have to be approved, but no, they don't do that.
But the TIF does capture that, you know.
Just
the
capture
offset, yeah.
increases.
Which we need.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but it's only for that little unit.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know, 2.5 blocks.
And I don't think that you would want to put 2 mills or 1 mill or any extra mills, as Mr. Rizzi, I'm sure, would agree, onto the business owners downtown in that DDA district.
And I agree with Glenn. I mean, they don't have to pay it back tomorrow.
Right.
But
I'm just making notations that it's a loan, not
It
a...
needs, yeah, it needs to be paid back.
Sure.
We all have to live in our budget and our means.
And I mean, Dave's alluded to it before, we absolutely would not want to see DDA go away.
No.
There's no other vehicle that we could end up reinstituting that would capture that TIF money, like our existing DDA, and that's in perpetuity. If we start a new one, what is the timeline, Harvey, 20 years or something?
About 20 years.
Yeah, because they're
so-
grandfathered in.
Yeah.
We're grandfathered in currently within the current parameters, and if we change that, then we lose the
Oh, new
grandfathering.
rules, yeah, right.
And we're not, like I said, we're not looking to stress them out of the things. It's just that this is a loan. This is something that's going to need to eventually be paid back. Put it into your budget. It's not, it's not just we've lived over our means and, we get it for free and then next year we don't have to really think about our budget. It's just to put a little handle on it, that's all.
Okay, anybody else? You think you've got,
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve. Oh, shoot, I just had it here too.
the resolutions adopted?
Yeah, actually, the resolution that was originally provided that had the rate .0.
Gotta get that right.
Oh, here it is. Excuse me. The total amount would be $4,819,875. This,
Where are you getting that? Why don't you read it off?
the resolution that was in the original when we had our budget meeting. The one that's in the existing packet, or the existing budget, has the modified one without the 6,500 for Arts Commission.
I think that's page 2 of your first resolution.
Yeah, they're not.
Second page, where it
pages.
says, "Now therefore be it resolved." And at the end of that paragraph, it has that number, which I have in there is 4,813,374, which does not include $6,501
6501, yes.
for the Arts Council. So if you're going to put the Arts Council or Arts Commission funding in there, you'll need to change that to the number that Mr. Kibble just...
4819,875.
Okay.
And this doesn't include anything on the DDA. This doesn't include anything with having a loan for the DDA.
Well, the budget, it's already in the budget, so
Right.
by approving that, yeah.
Then it's no loan. It's just approved.
Well, I think you just make a notation that you're loaning it to them.
When do we make that notation?
When you give them the money.
Well, I just made the notation.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was made. Okay.
It's, yeah, you just have to note it that it's a loan, and it'll be noted in the audit as well.
Okay.
Question.
Go ahead.
And with the Arts Commission, when do we anticipate?
Until you get a second to the motion.
Well, that's true.
Sorry, all right. I rescind my
Did you
question.
finish your motion?
Yes, I had.
There's two. Oh, yeah.
Now a second, somewhere?
I'll second.
For discussion.
Yep, my apologies. With the Arts Commission, when are we anticipating having that put before us for the 6,500? I'm sorry, for the purchase of the displays? Do we have an estimated day?
For the install, is that what
Yeah.
you're getting at? Yeah, okay.
Well, they can't do anything until after July 1st, when the budget takes effect. I would imagine they'll go out for bid for that, those items at that point.
So that would still be put before us. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other discussion?
I just want to make a comment about the Arts Commission.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to turn the whole budget down over the Art Commission. Brad, I was very impressed with the presentation that you guys made. I'm not happy that you didn't try a fundraiser first, but I'm not going to turn down the whole budget if that's what's based on this board. I'm not going to do that. I would like this to be your one and only time for seed money. I would really like you to make an effort to stand on your own. And I'd like you to take into consideration, although I'm very big on the arts, and you probably don't know my background, and I'm not going to bore you with that, but I do want you to highly consider that in the future. And, you talked about the community things being much more expensive to do things out in the community, there's a lot of students that would love to do things in here for a contest for free. And so I'd like.
All of those items that you've just listed have been under discussion, and we're fully aware of the need to do a fundraiser. We're fully aware to, when we do projects, that they should pay for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But this was totally intended to just get us started. As someone mentioned, this is equipment that will belong to the city. It will not only be here, although it'll be here for a goodly extended piece of time, that we can move elsewhere within the community.
I was impressed with your presentation that was made last time our meeting. I really was. And for that reason, I mean, you pick your battles, and I picked and won one, and I'm going to let you win one, and I'm not going to turn this budget down. I'm not going to turn this budget down for the Arts Commission, but please try and stand on your feet.
Oh.
And if you can't, try and do a fundraiser.
It's an intent.
And invite me if you have a fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
For a donation.
Can I invite all of the council and the mayor as well?
Yes. All of us with our wallets.
Yes, with your wallets, that's exactly it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can we get clarification from the attorney that these are two different resolutions?
I'm sorry?
Aren't these two different resolutions and both of them need to be approved separately?
Yeah, he only did the one motion for the budget.
Okay, because that's the second one, isn't it?
Yeah, the way I read them as presented, they are two separate resolutions. I would prefer belt and suspenders to do a separate motion adopting each resolution.
Right, so the motion that's pending right now is for the budget, and then the next motion will be for the millage. Right, okay, all right. It's backwards, but yeah, all right.
It's just flipped, that's all.
So you did it, right?
Yeah, and it's been seconded.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of the budget, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, the other one, need a motion on? Okay. The millage?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the resolution spreading the millage rates.
I'll support.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good job on the budget, David.
Very good job.
Okay.
And Lori, and Lisa,
And all the department heads,
and all the department heads.
absolutely. Which we should call out Bob Martin, just to make sure. he
Bob.
gets-
What a lead-in.
Yeah, now, raw sewage pump purchase. Is there a different kind of sewage?
It's sexy now.
I'd like cooked sewage.
Why didn't we have my discussion before the budget discussion? A lot of you may or may not know, we have 8 sewage lift stations spread around our city. They're in every neighborhood, and it's the lifeline of our sewage treatment plant. What these vaults that are sunk in neighborhoods scattered around the city do is collect all of the sewage from people's homes, and then these pumps work overtime, pumping dirty, nasty water from neighborhoods to the wastewater plant on Dixboro Road. On May 19th, we lost a pump at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and due to the foresight of the council in years past, we had replacement pumps for each of our lift stations, a backup sitting in the wastewater plant on 9 Mile. That gives us the luxury to go out there and grab one with our truck, get out to the site, and pull the old one and wire a new one in, and we're up and running with 2 to 3 hours. We recently did this on May 19th at Trotter's Point, and it now leaves us down a pump. We took it into the only repair and rep service in southeast Michigan, which is Hydrodynamics, and you can see here from the price, it's cheaper to purchase sometimes than it is to repair old. And I'm promoting, or I'm asking the council to approve tonight the purchase of a replacement pump for the Trotter's Point lift station for the cost of $11,640. Any questions?
You could get 2 arts commissions for that.
I'm more in favor of our sewage being taken away than art being brought in.
Sorry, I couldn't pass that up.
Okay, Carl, 390 Lennox. I urge you to approve Bob's request for this pump. However, and
You
here's...
downstream from it or something?
Yeah.
Have a vested
Okay,
interest.
here's the difference, okay, that I want to bring up. Allow Bob the flexibility of a different tactical approach to the problem. It's my opinion, okay? If he's got the money approved for the item, what if he can get 2 of them for the price of 1? Okay, or possibly a third, okay? Quality still in the box, never been uncrated. You're talking about several $1,000 piece of equipment. It can be done.
Where in Detroit?
Is there a sale at Macy's?
No. There's a number of ways, without going into all of them. Just, for instance, I mentioned it to Bob. I bought a road grader 35 years ago, you know, easy, and turned it over and made a profit. The state of Michigan has the heavy equipment auctions Upper Peninsula and Lower Peninsula in the next month, usually, every year. Okay, it's possible to buy replacement machinery across the board. Guns and ammunition, boats, anything you want. Okay, plus we have other bankrupted communities.
You're
You know,
not
in
flushing
Michigan.
anymore? We're talking about the pump.
That's right, but I'm just saying, there's other possibilities that Bob can get, at least 2 of them, and possibly 3 for the same money.
Sure.
If you allow him to have the flexibility
All
for
right.
a different approach.
Thank you.
Could I
You know,
just-
in concept, you're actually right, Carl, but this is a specific item. It doesn't even match up with our other lift stations, so.
The point I wanted to
Yeah.
make there. He does bring up a good point.
Right. There are
But if you look at the
opportunities out there.
picture that I gave you there, that's the size of the pump that went in that hole on that Sunday afternoon. We photographed it. If you notice the pump next to it, that is the pump for Colonial Acres. It's a specific item for this exact neighborhood that takes this sewage and under head pressure pumps it almost 1 mile up the crown of that hill at the high school. And then it flows downhill gravity into the wastewater plant. There's lots of engineering and specifics that go into the specific line item of a pump needed for anything. I take heart what he says, because there may be some areas that we could utilize that. I don't know if it's in this exact case, though. Thank you.
Well, I'll make the motion that we buy Bob a new sewage pump
No, I'm gonna support that.
in the amount of $11,640.
You'd hate to miss a meeting without Bob getting something.
It's been a while.
And this is just kind of important, Bob. We're gonna let you have this one.
Thank you.
And did somebody second that?
I
I'm sorry.
second it.
Okay, further discussion? I think it's pretty evident, it's important to keep things flowing, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mr. Murphy, our city manager, any kind of report?
I do. In here, there was a nice letter from a student to you, Mayor Wallace. It was informational. I wanted to point out a letter from Mr. Zucchini, who wrote to the city council about our DPW and what a great job they did. And they told him before what to expect, and he got exactly what they were told him, and it worked out great. So it's really nice when we get a letter. Usually it's
Yeah.
not real good response.
Usually it's hate mail.
I also wanted to point out that, Mr. Kramer, you had asked about HRC and the county. There's notation in there that we actually get a break from what they charge the county, and then the Pumpkin Fest expenses and revenue. It looks like overall they made $13,112.65. Cable Channel 19, the school and Green Oak Township, they're coming into the the cable company is coming in to do something with this room right here, where they're going to change, instead of it going, what we put out, it goes to the head end now and then somewhere else. And
It's
then
already
back.
changed, I think.
No, they're supposed to be, they called me Friday, said they were gonna be in this week to do that, and we might see Channel 19 down actually for a day. They're gonna try and get in here, get it done, get out, but they're supposed to be in here this week. Football season. So I just wanna let you know. I will be off Wednesday and Thursday. I have a meeting in Petoskey, so taking 2 days off for that. Cable rates are going up. I think I left a little thing for you there. And I want to make sure you saw I put something on at your table, the police goals and objectives. I left that out of your budget accidentally. So please put that into your budget under police, and you'll have their goals and objectives. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have my
You want to start first?
No, I don't have one, but I don't care.
Well, I'll just start with you then.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dave kind of stole some of my thunder. I was going to comment on the 2 letters that were included in our packet from citizens who are pleased with the city services they're getting. I think it's rare that cities get complimentary letters as opposed to complaining letters. And we see this pretty routinely. We see letters commending the police department, the fire department, the public works department. And it's very gratifying to me to see that, and it speaks very well of our employees, and I'm very proud of that. So thank you to all the department heads and all the employees.
What was the other one you got?
To the citizens, a note. They're doing the hard copy too. They aren't just emailing their messages.
Yeah.
They made the effort to put a stamp on it and send it to us.
That may be a lost art in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well,
What was the other one you got, Harvey?
What's that?
What was the other letter? I
There's
don't-
2 of them in our packet today.
I only got one.
No, they're separated. You got to do a little searching there.
I swear. it
One
is.
was on a city repair of a water shutoff, and the other one was, what was the other one, David?
The other one was to Mayor Wallace, actually, about the DWRF, the water infrastructure.
Right, yeah, one
didn't
was
get
the
that
last thing, and you can have my copies if you
And
like.
Mr.
No, it's okay.
Zucchini, actually, the day the guys finished, he walked up here, or he came up here and dropped that off. So he did it before the guys were even back at the DPW yard. So that was really great.
Yeah. No, I didn't see the other one, but that's okay.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I want to thank our city manager for a meeting with the gentleman concerning Volunteer Park. I think a lot was accomplished during that meeting. I think he went away happy, and hopefully that issue will be resolved. In addition, my monthly reminder, we have a rec center meeting on June 17th at 7 p.m. Hopefully the RFPs are going out tomorrow to the various architectural firms, so we hope to have some ideas back for conceptual design by the June 17th meeting. So just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Can I insert a quick question to you about the rec center? Has
Yes.
Salem have you ever gotten hold of anybody?
Nope.
I did talk to his son today, so we're hopeful that he'll get his dad to answer a call.
I hope so. It's getting a little late in the game.
I know.
Piling on late.
Yeah, okay. Bev?
I just want to say how nice the flowers look with their new brackets hanging around the city.
And Superb Fabricating had something to do with that as well, right?
Sure.
Yep, okay. Thank you, Bev. Glenn?
Just to touch briefly, the cleanup was very well attended. The place looks like $1 million. There were some great ideas that had taken place at Baker Park to make it more manageable, easier for the city to mend or to attend to, which I thought was really a great idea. It's still very lush and pretty, but it's a lot easier. Guys don't have to sit there and pick a lot of weeds and things now.
And please note that that's Maggie Kurzweil. She was really taken over that and just done a
And Kelly
fantastic
as well,
job.
Kelly Smith too.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So both of those ladies deserve some additional kudos.
I presided over a wedding today. It was supposed to be in Baker Park. They were all excited to do it, but the
Yeah, that
rain.
didn't work out.
It unfortunately took place right here with this for a backdrop, so. But,
That's pretty to say, right?
yeah, I know. They'll remember it, they said.
Good luck when it rains on your wedding day.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron?
Okay, I would also like to comment on cleanup day. I think there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes with our department heads and stuff like that beforehand. And Team Signs did very well. And I had the pleasure of Glenn and Joe and Dave working very hard. And then Harvey made me a hamburger. So everybody worked on it very well. I'd like also to address something with you, David. Did Mary Poole get back to you about the Pumpkin Fest financials?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the
It's
packet.
in your packet.
I swear to God, I have none of that stuff in my
I
packet.
mentioned that during my report.
I have none of that stuff in my packet.
Well, I'll be glad to make your copies of it.
I mean,
It all
I
should
read
be
my
in there.
packet, I just don't have those things in my packet.
Okay, I'll get you copies of all those things, Aaron.
Okay, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone with my packet. Okay, and then the last, thanks. No, I don't have this. Then the last thing is, WOW seems to be replacing a lot of the lines. Are they getting rid of the old lines? Because there just seems to be like an overabundance of lines. Are they cutting those things off? Are they taking the old stuff away?
I don't know.
Can we check with them?
I
Because
think
they're,
they're restringing everything before they
Bingo.
dismantle the old stuff.
okay, can we
Yeah.
just make sure they're dismantling? Because there's a lot of lines up right now.
You should have seen it in the early 1900s. You seen the pictures around town?
I know.
50 lines
It's
on a
starting,
pole. We're
it's
still
starting to
ahead of
look
the
like
game.
that. It's starting to look like that. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
Okay. Joe?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on the cleanup. It was a very great experience. I give credit to Erin. She was a very good team leader. She kept everybody in line.
That leather whip working good?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
No, my team was good.
She did a great job. Also give credit to all the people who volunteered and the churches who came out. I was told that there was around 15 churches that volunteered, so it takes a lot of organization to get that, and it's very good for the community. A lot of man hours and beautifies everything. Also, the parade was a huge success. Want to salute all of our veterans and just say thank you to everybody who has served and all the families of those. And with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I was going to mention on the parade again, for the sake of those that weren't able to attend, it was the 125th consecutive parade put on in South Lyon, and there are many communities that do not even bother with it. And it's a real shame, so.
They said on the news the longest one in Michigan was Dearborn, and it was 89 years.
Oh, well, they didn't, they
That
didn't.
was in the Free Press today, too.
Yeah, see how we are
I
out
mean-
here in the boonies, we don't count? That's like the tornado that was coming. They were listing all the cities but us, and then we were right in the red zone.
I think somebody should tell the paper that we've had ours that long.
Actually, I think the mayor should write a letter to the
I
paper.
think you should. Ted?
Maybe I'll email.
That's what I was going to talk
Should have Bob write the letter. He gets everything he wants.
And the other thing noted about it was that in those 125 years, there's been 4 directors.
Wow.
And the current one, Dana Johnson, just did her 34th year. And I don't see her quitting until time is ended. She's just a great gal. Oh, you should have seen, she wanted a bullhorn, she didn't have one. She's already rasping, but she was getting it out and getting everybody organized, and she does a great job. And I was going to comment on the WOW. I'll say it, I call it whoa, because there's been a lot of games cut off. I'm getting complaints, and I'm watching the same games. I know what they're talking about. I mean, but we were told there'd be interruptions and so forth, and it's happened. And the salt in the wounds are going to do a rate increase on basic things in their cable, and I say good luck to them. And also came out today from the MML that we were getting a 4.8% increase. That's better than nothing on the Economic Vitality Incentive Programs.
Yeah, that's the small one.
Yeah, so what is that, $18? Yeah.
A little more.
Yeah.
Not much, Bo.
And I had a question on the 425. Did we not approach Lyon Township with that? Has there been any word on that? I'm shop talking here at the moment.
Yeah, nothing, no.
Okay. With that, I think I'd like to call for an adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll support.
For the discussion, I'll say that this meeting lasted, for your TV audience, lasted 1 hour and approximately an hour and a half, and we talked about the budget, among other things. And thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?